Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to my YouTube channel. So, I've been doing a lot of stuff lately on cybersecurity, system hardening, stuff like that, CIS controls. So, one of the big things in all of that is making sure all your systems are properly patched. So, Microsoft Windows provides a Windows Server role called WSUS, Windows Server Update Services. So, we're going to go over that a little bit today. I'm going to go over the group policies, go into the interface a little bit, and just kind of give a brief overview on the details. I just set this up last night, and I kind of wanted to have everything up and running because to get all the systems registered in WSUS takes a minute. And then you also want to make sure that the systems have all checked in and need updates, so I can give you a real good view of what you should end up seeing once you've got it all set up and running. So this is an enterprise level environment so that you can actually manage hundreds, thousands of systems, patch them, and put them in different groups. And we'll get into that in a minute. So the way you do it is you go to Server Manager, just go to Add Roles and Features, next, and then just select Windows Server Update Services, and just go next. I didn't do the SQL Server connectivity. It will install its own little database, so you don't need to have a SQL Server. If you have a massive amount of systems, you might want to go ahead and install the SQL Server connectivity and use that for the back end, but I've always just used the base. Then next. There is a little tiny wizard you run when you first set it up, and you just kind of do. Give me a second here. So this is the Windows Server Update Service interface. There'll be a little wizard you go through the very first time you open it up, and it'll synchronize. By the way, the synchronizations, I canceled my first one because it just took so long. It's actually running a synchronization right now. So be patient. Once you start the synchronization, walk away, go to lunch, take a long lunch. So the best thing about this is for an enterprise level tool, I mean, it doesn't have maybe everything you wanted, but it's got 95% of it. So it's got decent reporting. It's got ways to group systems and updates. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you get all your systems registered in WSUS. You're like, okay, well, how do I get my systems to register in WSUS? So like, here's all my servers, well, most of them. So what you want to do is you want to go into group policy. So right here, I created a new group policy, and these are under the computer configuration policies, administrative templates, Windows components, Windows update. There's manage end user experience, and there is the Windows Server Update Service. Those are two different places you're going to be opening. I can actually open up the policy and show it to you, but this is an easier way to take a bird's eye view of all the different settings that I've set up. So it's going to auto download, notify install for restart, daily checking, schedule install times 3 a.m. It's doing it every week on Sunday. I have my auto restart during active hours. So my active hours is between 8 a.m. and 2 a.m. Wait, oh, turn off auto start during active hours. So yeah, so from 8 a.m. in the morning till 2 a.m. at night, I shouldn't get any reboots. Check for updates following interval hours. Oh, this is, so when you first install this or set this up in group policy, this is 22 and 22 hours. So you're like, oh, where's all my systems? Where's all my systems? So if you want to hurry up and see your systems in Windows Server Update Services, graphical tool, you might want to change this to a 1 just for now. And then you can change it back to like 12 hours or whatever you want later. And that way you can start seeing it. Here's where it gets into the guts of it. So this is where you're going to say, oh, hey, this is the path this is the URL to my Windows Server update services. And yet again, if you're running any type of hardening, you need to make sure that you open inbound ports for 8530 on your WSUS server so that systems can communicate to it. Do not enforce TLS. Not too worried about that on my internal LAN. Don't have any proxies. So feature updates, quality, driver, and other updates. I'll use Windows Server Update Services. One of the other things I turned on, which is kind of important. Oh, do not connect to any Windows Update internet locations enabled. So this is really important one. So all your systems by default are going to try to go out to the internet. So if you have firewalls and policies in place to not allow your servers to go to the internet, which you should, have very limited access or no access from your servers out to the internet, it's going to slam your firewall and you're going to have all these denies in your firewall. So if you turn this on, then Windows Update is not going to attempt to go out to the internet. You want everything going to your WSUS server. So to me, that's a real big deal because I've had to deal with trying to clean up all the firewall denies and the logs and get everything cleaned up. So this is a real big deal, in my opinion. So you take this policy, you create it just so that you can see it originally. So go down to administrative templates. Don't know why this is taking a while. There we go. Windows components. Scroll down to the bottom. Windows updates. So manage end user experience. That's new. I haven't done this for quite a long time. And so this entry is new. The items within it aren't very new. It looks like they just moved them around. So turn off auto restart during updates during active hours is important, and configure automatic updates. Then also what you saw in the details was this. So just to give you an idea of looking at one. So put in your you can expand this too if you want to full screen it. So put my WSUS server, statistics, do not enforce, only use system proxy for detecting updates default. I don't have a proxy, so it doesn't really matter. And as you set these, if you start at the top one, like this one, you can set it and just hit next, set your setting, next, set your setting, next. So that's kind of nice. So anyways, you create your group policy, got all your settings in place. I put it on my parent because I want them all to register, and that's all this does. All this does is get my system so that they will register in WSUS. It doesn't approve updates. It doesn't patch anything. It does have the schedule of when you're going to be allowed to do reboots. It defines my my production hours versus my off hours, and it says when to install them. I have it set for Sunday. So if you get here, you just hit show all, and then you can see all the information under your settings tab. So you got your scope, your settings, bam. Now, once you have this applied, also applied it to my domain controllers OU. And that way, as you can see, everything looks like go down here. It'd be inherited. So there. So it's set to everything. Now, once you have that set up, you can go back to your WSUS server, and what you'll see initially is you want to set this to any status, because initially they're not going to have any status, and then hit refresh. And yet again, wait a little bit, have some patience on this, and they will register. So now then, over here under computers, you'll have this unassigned computers by default. These other groups I created myself. So you can just right click, add new computer group, type it in, hit add, creates a new computer group. And the way I do my patching is I want my domain controllers patched separately, or in approvals. Then I have my member servers. Then I got my update servers, and then my workstations. And then you can even divide that out further. Let's say a lot of places I've worked in, companies where they've got an A and B systems more or less set up. You can never really go down. There's always a backup system. So you can create another sub group under here, I believe. So this would be like group A, group B, and then you can separate your workstations out, A and B, if you want, and that way you can fine grain this as much as you want for approving and applying updates and splitting out your computer infrastructure. One place I worked, we had was a hospital, so you can't just take ER down. There's always you have to take down half the systems when you reboot, so the other half the systems are up and running, and you've always got critical systems available, stuff like that. So you got to be really careful when you're in a production environment. When are you scheduling your stuff and making sure that people always have what they need if you're running a 24/7 type of infrastructure, which I've been in quite a bit. So that's just for computer management, and the way that you can just change membership, and you can select where you want to put it. Like it can have two memberships. It can be in domain controllers and group A if I wanted it to. So you can so they'll come up under here first under unassigned, and then you can right click them and then assign them to whatever groups you want them to be in. Now the fun part is once you've had some synchronizations and so forth, you're actually going to see your updates. Oh, that last page you saw was like a stats page with pie charts and stuff, which is fine. It's helpful. Tells you, I'll go back to it. Tells you, how many patches are available, how many are installed, errors, so forth. So right now, this is just a fresh install, as I said. So I don't have any approved patches, so they should all come up under unapproved and status of any. So whether they're downloaded or applied or whatever. So yet again, there's a decent amount, so this is going to take a little bit. Another thing I wanted to talk about while this is loading is we'll get down to the report section. The report section is pretty nice, especially if you need to show your work. Say you're patching every quarter or every month or bi-monthly. Go in, do your patching, get your reboots done, run your report, take that report, put it in the evidence folder. That way, if you ever have audit or anything else come around, you've got your evidence for your patching. So that's really, really handy tool. Another thing is, there we go. So, but I wanted to go through, you got all updates, you got critical security updates, and the WSUS updates. I had to look that up. I didn't know what it was for. So the WSUS updates is actually for patching the WSUS software. So if there's actually updates coming out for WSUS, that's where those will be, not for the OS running on your WSUS server. So there we go. Bam. So unapproved, any. So what I want to do is I want to look at status is needed. What that means by that is, hey, I have systems that need these updates. So I'm going to do a refresh real quick. and it's showing that I've got all updates. Wow, I grabbed 41,873 updates. Or wait, 42,000 updates. Don't know why it would grab them all, but whatever. It didn't download them all. It's just listing them. So this will do, service packs. It'll do .NET. It'll do roll ups, security fixes. Another thing you do have to watch out for, keep an eye out for, is driver updates. Sometimes I've seen where you do a driver update, especially for like on a NIC, and it breaks something or it loses the IP address. So if you roll out a driver update for your network cards to all your systems and they all lose their IP addresses, that would be a very bad day for someone because you'd have to go re-IP everything. So that would not be fun. All right, so where I'm at now is these are unapproved and these are needed. So installed, not applicable, so 0%. So if I click on this one, computers needing this update is 5. So I have 5 systems. So that's why it's at 0%. The next one is at 80%. So I'm assuming, yep, only one needs them, and 4 of them is either installed or not compatible or not applicable. My bad. So you can go line by line and read each upon one of these and figure out, hey, this is what you know, this is what's needed. This is what I'm doing, or even specifically, especially if you're doing some remediation from your Nessus scans or something, and come in here and see what's installed or what needs to be installed. Sometimes, a lot of times, you'll get some false positives from Nessus or Rapid7, and it says, oh, it's missing this patch, and you come here and it's like, oh, well, the patch it's asking for was already superseded, so it has this patch, so that other patch doesn't matter. But anyway, so you can select one, you can select a whole group, go to approve. Now, this is where that other section over here comes into play, is who are you going to approve these for? You can just say, you can make it easy and go approve for install to everything and be on your way. And if you apply it to all computers, it's going to go and apply it to everything. So a lot of places I've been, they're like, hey, just highlight everything, right click, approve, and then they go approve for install, and then hit OK, and bam, there, don't worry about it. And then bad things happen sometimes. But the best way to do this is, my opinion, one, go for classifications. So you've got upgrades, updates, roll-ups, and security updates. So I would order it by classification and definitely at least spend some time reviewing these. You can also look up the article, the KB article online if you want. You don't have to. And see, that's the great thing about this tool. It's right here. If your WSUS server has access to the internet, you can come here, simply click this link, go read up on the article. I don't know if I've ever opened the browser in the system. Oh, it's thinking. Yeah, see, I've never logged in here. Got to click 10 things just to get to the browser. There, boom. So now I've got, the whole article on this. One of the things you want to look for, let me see if it's listed on this one. Known issues. There we go. So you want to look for the known issues on the page, and it will list that, oh, hey, after you install persistent chat, pchat, updates, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, so now you're learning about what you're actually installing. Just blindly patching everything and not knowing really what you're pushing can be very, very bad. So depending on the delicacy or the criticality of the servers and workstations you're patching, which pretty much nobody wants to walk into work on Monday morning and nobody can log on, or their software doesn't work, or you have to roll back 20 servers because you pushed out bad patching. Um, so be careful on pushing these out. Another thing you ever want to do, which I probably should have just for a lab, is test and dev. So create a test and dev group. So what you want to do first is add some computers that are not critical into this group. Approve all your patches for the systems in there and push those patches first. Get them rebooted, see what breaks, see if anything happens. So you always want to do a test dev on some systems and actually as big as a pool as possible. I mean, if you have 500 systems and you only put 2 in test dev, you're still going to run into problems. You should have multiple domain controllers. Let's throw one domain controller in there, maybe one SQL server, maybe the Orion box, a database server. I think I already said that. Throw something in there that's got a little bit of meat to it, but does not affect production. So even if I lose a domain controller, I'm not going to lose production. I've got multiple domain controllers. You should always have multiple domain controllers. You should always have multiple domain controllers. Anyways, so make sure you do a test and dev pass as well before you start, going out and approving updates and pushing it everywhere. There's been places where I've worked where they're like, I don't want all updates. I only want critical updates and security updates. That's it, across the board. And that's all I was allowed to install, which, okay, is fine. They didn't care about driver updates and, quality updates, and there was feature updates. And there's a slew of categories now, but they were like critical and security updates, approve all, get them installed, because they were a high security area where I worked. So anyways, so we went over group policy, getting things into the systems. You have to have an Active Directory domain for this all to work, of course, because you're using group policy. Through added the server role through server manager for WSUS. Run your initial wizard and synchronization for WSUS. Be patient with that part with the synchronization. Then come in here. You got a little bit of setup to do. Got to have patience for your systems to register. And once you're there, then it's all in your ballpark on how you want to manage and how you want to organize, your environment and set things up. One thing I did skip, bam, reporting. So you can do computer status summary, and yet again, these are just different levels and or different formats for your reporting and stuff like that. Update status summary, detailed, tabular, yada yada. So these four. So these are update reports. You got computer reports. So yet again, I would highly suggest after you've pushed and got your updates installed and you got your reboots done, go ahead, make sure that everything's reported back to WSUS after the fact. And, don't patch one day and then do your reports the next. Give them a little bit of time. Run your reports, file that away in a folder or SharePoint or something. So you got evidence for audit and stuff like that, or even at your annual review or quarterly review, you have something to show, hey, these are the return on your investment in me. This is how I'm taking care of your environment. All right, if you have any questions or anything else like that, please feel free to leave comments and questions below. I'll try to get to them. And yet again, this is just more to me, this falls under cybersecurity. This is hardening, patch management, making sure that your systems are hardened as much as possible, not only with group policies, best practice, CIS, and other types of controls, whether it be, I want to say NIST, but that's not really control. STIGs, yeah, there we go. That's the word I was looking for, STIGs. But patching is probably the biggest thing you can do right off the bat to secure your systems. Make sure everything's up to date. All right, thanks a lot, and leave a like and subscribe in the comments and stuff. Bye.